By June 2026, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office had released nearly 300 declassified case files across 3 separate batches, May 8th, May 22nd, and June 12th. Most were resolved: drones, birds, satellites, atmospheric artifacts. But buried in the data were cases carrying a designation the US government does not use lightly: unresolved, with unknown technology listed as a candidate explanation. Not confirmed, not concluded, but officially on the table. These are the files AARO could not close, and their contents deserve a forensic reading. Understanding what these cases represent requires understanding AARO's own analytical standard. Under the framework formalized in AARO's fiscal year 2024 annual report to Congress, a case is labeled resolved only when analysts can identify the object with high confidence using available sensor data, environmental context, and known technical signatures. When a case remains unresolved, it means the data was either insufficient for identification or, critically, the observed characteristics did not match any known platform, phenomenon, or technology in AARO's reference databases. Unknown technology as a candidate explanation is not a conclusion. It is a formal acknowledgement that after exhausting conventional hypotheses, something unexplained remains. Director Jon Kosloski has emphasized this distinction publicly, noting in his November 2024 appearance before the Senate Armed Services Subcommittee that unresolved does not mean extraterrestrial. It means the office lacks the data or the framework to close the case. Among the highest strangeness unresolved cases in the new releases is a report describing luminous orbs observed in proximity to a sensitive U.S. security installation. According to the declassified summary, witnesses, including trained security personnel, observed a stationary, luminous sphere that appeared to eject or launch smaller spherical objects. These smaller orbs moved independently before disappearing. The case file notes multiple witnesses and corroborating sensor data, though the specific sensor type remains redacted. What makes this case analytically significant is not spectacle. It is the described behavior, an object generating secondary objects. That implies a system: propulsion, deployment, coordination. No conventional drone architecture publicly known replicates this behavior at the scale and luminosity described. A second case, now among the most discussed in the disclosure research community, involves an October 2023 observation of what witnesses described as a large orange orb ejecting smaller red orbs. This case carries particular weight because the summary report bears the signature of AARO Director Jon Kosloski himself. According to the document, the event was observed by multiple credentialed witnesses. The object's behavior was internally consistent across independent accounts, and conventional explanations, including flares, drones, and atmospheric phenomena, were evaluated and found insufficient. Kosloski's direct involvement in signing the report signals this was not a routine filing. It reached the director's desk, and it stayed unresolved. Then there is the case that defies the orb pattern entirely. 5 U.S. Army soldiers reported observing an irregularly shaped object, described in the file as potato-shaped, above or near Cheyenne Mountain, home to NORAD and the United States Northern Command. The soldiers provided consistent descriptions of the object's shape, apparent size, and movement. Cheyenne Mountain is among the most surveilled and defended airspaces in North America. An unidentified object loitering in that environment, observed by 5 military witnesses, represents either a catastrophic gap in air defense detection or something the defense apparatus genuinely could not identify. Neither conclusion is comfortable. The declassified batch also surfaced a historical case that extends the anomaly timeline back over 5 decades. Declassified Apollo 12 mission audio captures crew members describing unexplained streaks of light observed during their November 1969 trans-lunar flight. The crew's tone in the audio is calm, observational, not alarmed, but clearly noting something outside expected visual phenomena. NASA has historically attributed such observations to debris, ice particles, or visual artifacts from spacecraft windows. But the inclusion of this case in AARO's formal database suggests the office evaluated it under modern analytical standards and found existing explanations insufficient to resolve it. That decision, to import a 1969 observation into a contemporary anomaly database and leave it open, is itself a statement about AARO's analytical posture. Taken collectively, these cases expose a structural tension at the heart of AARO's mission. The office was created to resolve anomalies, to turn unknowns into knowns, and it has succeeded in the majority of cases. But a persistent residual remains. Kosloski acknowledged this directly in his 2024 Senate testimony, stating that some cases lack sufficient data for resolution, and that sensor coverage gaps across military ranges contribute to the problem. The implication is significant. AARO's unresolved cases may not represent a failure of analysis. They may represent the boundary of what current sensor infrastructure and analytical frameworks can achieve. The question Congress has not yet adequately addressed is what happens at that boundary. Are additional resources deployed? Are collection strategies revised? Or do these files simply remain open, institutionally acknowledged but operationally inert? Unknown technology is a phrase that invites projection. It is not, within AARO's framework, a declaration that non-human intelligence has been detected. It is a taxonomic category, one of several candidate explanations applied when an observation exhibits characteristics suggestive of manufactured technology but cannot be matched to any known platform, domestic or foreign. The distinction matters. AARO is not saying these objects are alien. It is saying these objects behave like technology, and no one in the US government can identify whose technology it is. That formulation should concern national security analysts regardless of one's position on the broader UFO question. Either a foreign adversary is operating platforms with capabilities beyond current intelligence assessments, or something else is present in controlled airspace that defies classification entirely. Nearly 300 case files, 3 release batches, a growing public record. And within that record, a subset of cases that the United States government's own Anomaly Resolution Office, staffed by intelligence analysts, physicists, and engineers, cannot explain. Not, will not, cannot. The files are open. The signatures are real. The locations include some of the most sensitive facilities on Earth and the vacuum of space itself. Whatever these cases ultimately represent, they now exist in the public domain as formal, institutional admissions of uncertainty. The record stands. The questions remain open.